I'm hoping you got some good information. Do you think doing a third round is useful, or do you think you've kind of learned what you need to learn in order to move forward into the final phase?
I think I know what I need to know.
Yeah. I mean, I heard what'll start to happen is you'll start getting the same comments from people. If it's something technical or something like that, you're going to be hearing the same thing. So if you guys feel like you got what you got, and hopefully it was useful. This is the kind of thing going all the way back when we were talking about the ADDIE design thing. The one recognized flaw in that whole way of doing design is that if you strictly follow it, you basically get to the end of the process before you get any feedback on how well the thing you've built works. So that's where the model of like rapid prototyping comes in, where they just start throwing things out and getting feedback and getting feedback and getting feedback. So this beta testing is kind of somewhere in the middle. I mean, granted, at this point, you're pretty far along on things. But giving you, I mean, you still have another 3 weeks then to incorporate anything that you learned tonight and to make any other adjustments and so on. And you can certainly feel free. I mean, you don't have to wait for me to tell you to put somebody in front of your Moodle. You could always grab somebody at work or somebody at home and say, hey, you could look through this and tell me what you think. All right, so yeah, so I think that's good. So before we wrapped, and again, I will stay tonight as late as anyone wants to stay. Well, I shouldn't say that. Up until the normal end of the class time, although I wouldn't mind getting home a little early tonight. But if there's things that you just learned about or quick fixes that you want to try to get done before you leave here, that's fine. But let me just take a minute because basically I can preview the rest of the course here. The homework that I put in this week is a little bit different. Only in that, I mean, there's one final discussion forum. I threw out one question. This is the fourth of these discussion forums. Basically, it's saying, the first forum, if you remember all the way back at the beginning, you presented a educational technology question, something that, you wondered about, and we responded to it. So I'm just kind of asking you not to go back to that same question, but now that we've covered kind of a lot of ground from design to implementation to planning to integration to all those sorts of things, like what is a question you have, or what is something that you might want to learn more about now going forward? Is there something that came up over the course of the last several weeks? I know we had one person who seemed to really latch into doing the Powtoon videos and seemed to really get excited about like doing things like that. So just one more discussion forum. So do find some time in between working on your TIP and your Moodle to get something posted on that final discussion. So we've got that. The presentations I already talked about. The assignment page was actually on last week's Moodle, so I gave you a link to it here. That's where you'll actually submit the final document. That just needs to be submitted before class on that final week. And then what I tried to do here, just to get it all in one place, is these are all of the things as I'm going through and figuring out what your grade is for the course. These are all the things that you were responsible for along the way. So we had 4 production forums. Those came out of the weeks where we were doing graphic design, doing video, doing audio, doing assessment. Whoops, I always forget that this is a live board. Just go back over and make sure that you did actually submit a graphic design example, that you submitted a video. That should be one of the videos that you ended up using in your Moodle. So if you haven't, that should be pretty easy to go back and do. The audio one was the one where you worked at home that week and took the recordings and tried to do some different things to them. Then we have the 4 discussion forums, and I've got links to each of the 4 here. Just make sure that you did an initial post and also then responded to other students' posts on that. So you can kind of go back over and make sure that you contributed to all of those. The TIP project, there were the 4 phases that you submitted individually. And then there's the final actual plan submission page, which is the same as that one. And then in terms of the Moodle Cloud, you had the two parts of the ID plan, which you've now copied into your actual Moodle, and the Moodle project link, which you all gave me because I've been able to go into your Moodles and so on. But just making sure that that link is good. So in terms of just assessing yourself and making sure that you've gotten everything submitted that you need to have submitted for this course for your grade, that's a one area summary of sort of everything. So you can just click on each of those and go back and just verify that you did actually complete everything that needed to be completed. The PLN, if you remember back at the beginning, we had one additional project, which was those personalized learning networks. I think I mentioned this somewhere in the middle of the course, but I was sort of prepared to let that piece go because it looked like people needed more time and more focus, especially on the Moodle projects. So I did just take that off the table. So you don't have to worry about that. I know we did, I think, 2 posts on that. And if you're wondering when it was going to come back, it's not. So you don't have to worry about that. So it's really the 2 types of forums, total of 8 forums, the TIP project and the Moodle Cloud project. And those will be the main pieces. So that's all here for week 15. And then obviously next week, there is no class because it's Thanksgiving. I didn't know whether to put a live turkey or put the turkey after it's been prepared, but I figured I'd go with the live one. And in terms of week 14, which I also already made live, again, there's no class on campus that week. The objectives are basically just finish everything up. And this homework for week 15 is the same thing we were just looking at. And just a reminder that the TIP presentations should be ready. So all of that, everything except the final week of our Moodle is all up and active. And you should know what you need to have done and when you need to have it done by. And that's kind of that. Any questions? All right. So yeah, we're about at 8:30 here. So if you would like to stay for a while and do some work or get some things done or whatever, feel free to do so. If you feel like you would like to just get home, you can absolutely do that as well. And we'll see everybody for the final class in a couple of weeks.
I know you literally just showed me, but I don't see on mine like that same area where I can insert for the like embedded piece.
Oh, okay.